Oh, somebody's here. What's up, everybody? Somebody. Anybody. It's Saturday night special. It is Saturday night. What it do, people? What it do? We got somebody on there. I know that's the wifey. Thank you. Right there. Okay. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Going up, somebody can hear me. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. See, that's the thing. I'm trying to get a little communication and you know what I'm saying, feedback from my audience, people that you know what I'm saying, that'll come tap in with your boy. I appreciate it. It's been a good week. What we got? Oh. Ha! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. M Rock, my dog, man. You know what I'm saying? Me and this man go back like, you know what I'm saying, Cadillac seats. Man, what's up, partner? I finally catch you when you're not at work, huh? It's Saturday night, man. I'm sitting at the pad, you know what I'm saying, figure out tap in, you know what I'm saying, see what's going on. What you got going on, man? It's Saturday night, man. Tell me something good. Tell me something good. Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate you, know what I'm saying, all the comments, all the little things, you know what I'm saying, that little stuff. That's the monetization. That's how I get my little bread. It's not much right now, you know what I'm saying, but I'm working on it. You always watching. I know, you know what I'm saying? That's my real dog right there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I be looking at. I be looking in the little comments and the little the analytics and all that. And it's a gang of people, you know what I'm saying? A gang of regular people, you know what I'm saying? My people. And I appreciate all my folks that come and tap in, you know what I'm saying, and leave the comments and I try and you know what I'm saying answer. If you hit a comment, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna hit you with a thumbs up, a like, or something. Just let you know I appreciate you tapping in with me. Cause you know what I'm saying, the people that tapping in the little change, it ain't much, but it's something. And you know what I'm saying, right now, you know what I'm saying, the struggle is real. But I'm a hustler. I ain't with being broke. You know what I mean? I ain't turning down nothing but my collar. You already know. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'll be checking, seeing all the people that be tapping in and it feels good, you know what I'm saying, that my folks, you know what I'm saying, be supporting me like that. I appreciate it. Man, look, me personally, you know what I'm saying, I say this is the best version of me there's been ever, you know what I'm saying, period. And that's the thing, I'm still working on myself, but you know what I'm saying, I'm living my best life. You know what I mean? I don't have everything I need, but I have everything I want. I have everything I need. I don't have everything I want. It's always, you know what I'm saying, you always want something else, some more. And you know what I'm saying, that's gonna be always, but I got everything I need. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Family growing, you know what I'm saying? I got grandbaby in the house right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just tapping in with y'all because I had a little time. And there's other people, you know what I'm saying, that are taking my baby time. But that's okay, you know what I'm saying, because it's a family thing. It's good. It's good, you know what I'm saying, this is my first grandchild. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm a proud grandpa, you know what I'm saying, and I can't wait, you know what I'm saying, it's so many things I already got plans. But you know what I'm saying, you know how it is. Living life, man, you know what I'm saying, it keeps getting better. You know what I'm saying, it ain't always what you want. It ain't always a bowl of cherries. But you know what I'm saying, if you keep pushing, you always get a bowl of cherries, if that's what you're after. You know what I mean? And me, that's what I see. Cause when I was a kid, when I was little and I was a youngster, all I wanted was a name and a reputation. I just wanted to be known. That's it. Because I was the man. Look, being the only white boy in the turf. You know what I'm saying? I caught the blues from a lot of people. Some people didn't want me in the set. I found over the years. You know what I'm saying? More and more has come out, and it ain't no thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping. All the things that I went through, made me who I am today. And I'm cool with who I am. So everybody that was involved, I appreciate you. Whether you did it, out of, out of hate or out of love, however you did it, appreciate you. Because you got me here. You know what I mean? Look, there was nowhere in my mind that I expect to see, 53 years, you know, at rock. You already know, man, when we was out there ripping and running, man, well, tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. But we took it to the extent, and we did some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? We survived. You know what I'm saying? We survived the 80s, the 90s. And that's the thing, man. You know what I'm saying? All the years that we had to pay. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about all the people caught up. You know what I'm saying? In the system, because the system is foul. You know what I mean? And I'm by far not the only one, or the only one sitting here, thinking the system is foul. But you know what I mean? The system is foul. And for real, something needs to, somebody needs to do something. So, I'm man, look, gotta do something. I know, I got tired of giving them, calendars, you know what I mean? Decades. And you earn your name. Yo, rep, bro. Okay, my boy said, and you earn your name, your rep. Remember when we was 13 and 14 fighting grown ass swabbies and Marines on a trolley? Yes, I remember those days. That was, man, shit. That was the early 80s, like the mid 80s. Man, look. But we was out there getting it. Yeah. We was because that's the thing, the homies wasn't giving us the game. And we didn't know what to do, So we getting sacks from the big homies to sell, and we taking off and partying, and not partying. We go flip the sack first, and but we gonna spend the bread. We ain't giving it back. And then we got the big homies chasing us. Man, how many times, I remember, finally when Minnie caught up with me. Yeah, I know you know about that. Yeah, that, man, look, we had some good times, man. We did some stupid shit, but we had some good times, man. And that's the thing. I know a lot of people don't know, but when we was out there patrolling the trenches, when one phone, it was 3 phone booths in front of Dad's and Mr. D and Oscars. And one phone booth was MROC's, one phone booth was Zolo's, and one phone booth was mine. And that's where we kept the dope in the change thing on the payphone. I know most people don't even know what a payphone is no more. That's what's crazy. And that's the thing, I think, look, was you there? Somebody tried to snatch the some rocks out of Zolo hand and drive off. And the motherfucker told me to get him, and I had that big ass 357 and started unloading down Market. Every shot, I'm backing up a step. Bam, bam. I ain't hit shit. You know what I mean? That gun was kicking the shit out of me. And then, I just come back and hang out like it's okay. And motherfuckers like, man, get your ass, go home, go to the house. And I'm just thinking, oh, okay, I seen it on TV, right? You take the gun and you tuck it in your pants. But this was a 357 Python, and the motherfucker just got unloaded. I stuck that motherfucker down in my pants and burnt the shit out of myself. Man, that's how you learn. That's how you learn how to handle a weapon. But I was sagging in some more, I'm saying? It was the 80s, and we was, I'm saying, that's the thing, man. I remember running around on that raggedy ass Cadillac in a 12 gauge with one shot. We had a one-shot gauge. You got to reload that motherfucker. That's okay though, you know what I'm saying? Because we fisting jump out. We got golf clubs and little Padre bats. Man, you already know, you know what I'm saying? I remember what it was you, me, and Zolo out there patrolling when they had the party at Booyah House on 4-1. Yeah, you remember them days. Man, look, them was the good old days. Them was, things was easier back then. Everything was we didn't have to worry about a lot of all the shit we gotta worry about now, look, I'm a grandfather, so now I'm worrying about, what am I got what do I have to leave behind so that my grandbaby, has it a little bit easier, so that's where I'm at right now, trying to, make a way for her so that she can level up, you know, and she gonna be gamed up. You can believe that. Sharp as a tack. Believe that. Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Life is good, man. You know what I'm saying? No complaints. I'm still, I still got wants and desires, you know what I'm saying, but I got priorities, you know what I'm saying, and things I gotta take care of first. Man, hey, I appreciate that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I get a lot of love. I look at all the comments, you know what I'm saying? I look at all the comments. I be seeing, you know what I'm saying? What was crazy was when I did that video with No Jumper. And when I went up there, all the comments on that, because that was people I don't even know. It's people that was in the pen with me that I didn't know, but they, I'm saying, were there with me verifying. Oh yeah, I'm saying? I was in the pen with that dude. All what he's saying is real. You know what I mean? I ain't blowing smoke up nobody, but I'm I'm just telling you the real. This is, I'm saying, this has been my life, you know what I mean, and the book is on its way, you know what I'm saying? People don't know. I got, I'm saying, said I'm gonna stop talking about that. Anyway, did you see the baseball game? But I'm saying, like I said, I'm working on other stuff. I'm trying to spread my hustle, people. Ain't nobody, I'm saying, ain't nobody paying for paying for the roof over my head. And I'm saying, they keep raising the rent. They keep raising the rent on me. It's getting hard on the yard and real in the field. So, that's when, I'm saying, that's when motherfuckers gotta step up. You best believe, I'm saying, I know how to step up when it's time to. So I'm thinking it's about time to. Nah, I'm just tapping in this Saturday night, man. I'm saying, I had some time. I've been, I'm saying, I've been thinking, I'm saying, I got to do more, because I've been slacking and missing days and not doing my lives on every Friday, I'm saying, and sometimes things come up and sometimes, I'm saying, opportunities arise and, I'm saying, my priority is, I'm saying, my family. So I'm, I'm saying, that's first and foremost. So when I got time, I'm trying to, I'm saying, get it in. But I'm thankful for all my people, I'm saying, because everybody that tap in with me, I'm saying, just show me, I'm saying, I got to keep going. I'm still learning, I'm not, I feel like I be talking to myself sometimes. So I'm sitting here looking in my mouth more. So if I'm, I'm saying, I don't have nobody to engage with. So, I've been thinking about getting somebody, I'm saying, to try and find somebody, I'm saying, to bounce off of, to have a, I'm saying, a back and forth with. But I'm saying, that's we'll see how that works out. I don't know. I need to work on my tech skills and my, I'm saying, abilities, and I'm seriously contemplating some AI assistance, I'm saying, while it's here, I'm saying, before it takes over. But that's the thing, I'm saying, man, look, I don't know. I don't trust AI. I don't trust a whole bunch of stuff, but, I know, I'm saying, if, in order for me to keep up, I got to, I'm saying, keep on it. And, I'm saying, that's what it's all about. Because Who else gonna do it? Ain't nobody gonna do it for you. You want something done, you gotta get it done yourself. Hey, I ain't fisting blow no smoke up your butt. It's what you want. How many people, you know what I'm saying, how many people think about it? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Really think about it. How many times have you really, really wanted something? I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying, like when I was a kid, I really, really wanted a name and a reputation. That's what I really wanted when I was a kid. Now I got it. I realize, you know what I'm saying, with that, you know what I'm saying, if I'm willing to do the work it takes, I can do anything. Ain't nothing gonna stop me but me. So it's up to me to motivate me and push me to do me for me. So I'm just, you know what I'm saying, look, life keeps getting better. You know what I'm saying, looking forward to what's coming next. uh I'm I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm doing better than I've ever done in my life. I've been out of a cage longer than I've been out since I was 9 years old. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I'm working on a couple other things. I got a couple projects I'm working on. Life keeps getting better. I keep moving forward. I keep doing what I'm supposed to do, and that's the thing. What I'm learning is you gotta just keep pushing forward. And I always use the analogy that I'm like that little train, the little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can, because I got out of prison with nothing. You know what I mean? Gate money. I had, like, you know what I'm saying, a couple $100 on my books of the money I saved up from when I came home, and that's it. And I got out and I built this. I have a life. I have a wife. I have family. I have a career. I have self esteem. I have the ability to do anything I choose to do, and that's real. Because, like I said, I used to want just a reputation, and now I got it. Only to realize that a reputation ain't worth. But you know what I'm saying, this is how you learn lessons. So I learned that lesson, and now, you know what I'm saying, and then, you know what I'm saying, it was another time, the last time I was incarcerated, man. I remember I was sitting up in there like, man, I just want a normal life. That's it. I just want a normal life. And then, you know what I'm saying, one day I was complaining. I was chopping it up with one of my homies, you know what I'm saying, at his 25th anniversary. And we was in his backyard and we was talking, and we go way back, the homie Mark. So I'm over there chopping it up with my boy, sitting here. Really, I'm basically venting and complaining. And you know what I'm saying, and he's like, you know what I'm saying, he sit there, he listened to me, the whole thing, you know what I'm saying. I broke it down to him, and he listened, and okay. And he say, so you got a normal life. And then he didn't realize the you know what I'm saying, what the recognition I got from it, because I sat in a cage, literally. I'm praying, and this was in my prayers. This was one of the prayers that, you know what I'm saying, before I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul. And this was in my nightly prayers. And then, you know what I'm saying, I get out of prison, and then, you know what I'm saying, here I am, and I've got a normal life. And you know what I'm saying, I'm not complaining. It's hard sometimes, and I didn't expect. I didn't understand how hard sometimes. And you know what I'm saying, my hat is off to a lot of you that have been doing this the whole time and taking care of your family. You know what I'm saying, again, hats off, you know what I'm saying, respect. But you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to be that, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to be that man, and take care of my family. And you know what I'm saying, like I said, I'm blessed, you know what I'm saying, because uh uh the wife is taking care of me at the same time, because we've been working on each other, on, you know what I'm saying, building each other up. And you see, you know what I'm saying, you guys see, you know what I'm saying, from me, Look, I'm, you know what I'm saying, a knucklehead from way back. I've been in and out of some kind of incarceration since I was 9 years old. I spent over 20 years in the California prison system. Uh, I got out. I wanted something different. I didn't want to go back to the same thing, to the set, to the hood. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no family left. Not in San Diego, not in California, really. So I'm getting out of prison, and I don't have no place to go. I got into a drug program because I wanted something different, and I had a firm belief that if you do something different, then something different will happen. So this was opposite from anything I had ever done before. I had been through AA classes during my incarceration because sometimes you have to. I've been through, you know what I'm saying, all kinds of stuff. I was, you know what I'm saying, planning on going to the Amity Ranch, because I had plans on paroling from Donovan before the riot happened with the skinheads, and I ended up on a bus getting transferred out. So you know what I'm saying, now here I am getting parole from Soledad, from the hole, no family left, nothing, and I got out and made it happen. I was scared. I didn't have. Man, look, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just know I wanted something different, and I got out here, you know what I'm saying, and I got into a drug program. You know what I'm saying, got this job, and you know what I'm saying, I've been running ever since then because this has been working for me. You know what I mean? I've been at this job now. I ended up going back to prison for 5 years. I was messed up. I was working for 5 years, but then I messed up. And you know what I'm saying, the system, they twist you. Anyway, no excuses. I go back for 5 more years. I get out. The company that I work for had put my lowrider up for 5 years. The company put up my car for 5 years. Man, look, who does that? And then every year I would tap in with my big boss because he was like a mentor. He was somebody who helped me work through situations that I had while I was out. Now here it is, I messed up and went back, and he still support whatever you need. If you need anything, let me know. We got your car, don't worry about it. Your job will be here when you get out. Just stay out of trouble. And the first time I called him on a cell phone, he was like, "Hey man, this ain't collect. How are you calling me right now?" I'm like, "Man, they got cell phones up in here." He's like, "Man, don't get in no trouble." I'm like, "I'm good." You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get in no trouble. So, you know what I'm saying? He just wanted what was best for me. So I did 5 years. I got out. As soon as I got out, they put me right back to work. After 6 months, they're like, "Man, you ever gonna go get your car?" I'm like, "Man, I ain't got no, you know what I'm saying? I got out and got into the drug program again. I got to get on my feet." So I started over again. But this time, you know what I'm saying? I had a little more support. Right after I was out, I think it was a couple years after I got out, I married my wife. And you know what I'm saying? It's we coming up on 7 years, and this every year keeps getting better. We've had rough times, we've had up times, we've had down times, but the thing is we just got times, and that's the best part because you know what I mean. She's the best part of my time, and that's the thing. I'm learning we have a limited time on this ball, this globe, this marble floating around in space, or this flat Earth, whatever it is. Because I'm not too sure. You know what I'm saying? They be having some good. Some of that stuff, you know what I'm saying, seems plausible. I don't know. I'm not out there. I don't do a lot of research on that stuff because all I have is what somebody else says. I can't go to Antarctica and look at the ice wall and see what's beyond it, if anything is beyond it, or there's certain places you can't go, no fly zones, or you can't go here, you can't go there, and that's for a reason, But what they got going on, I don't know. I can't control that. I have to focus on what I can control. So right now, what can I control? I can control taking care of my family. That's my job. That's what I do. That's where I'm at. That's that's my priority. That's what I'm gonna focus on because worrying and stressing about something I have no control over isn't gonna help me at all. It's just gonna make things worse for me. I've been stressed out. When you got people trying to kill you, that's a different kind of stress. I spent a lot of years, in cages with people that I knew, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Nazi lowriders, and the skinheads had hits out on me. And I spent over 20 years in California prison system. And I went from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. Then I paroled, and then I paroled for 7 months and then came right back. And then, I went to level 4. And this is a whole different ball game because level 4 is maximum security. Every cellie I had a life sentence. And I don't even want to tell them I only got 9 years. I got sentenced to 9 years. I ended up doing 12 years and 7 months on that 9 years. But it's some people that never make it out. I've seen people leave in a body bag. I've known people that were associates, people that I dealt with every day for a couple years, and something happened, and one thing leads to another, and now he's in a situation where, uh, you know, he ends up, leaving in a body bag. It's not always pretty. It's not, but that's the way it happens sometimes. And that's the thing. I was in some really really violent prisons. When I was in Corcoran in 19, I got to Corcoran in 1992. I was there 2 years. I paroled in 1994. But what I'm saying, that was the worst place that the police beat. I had a mouth. I talked a lot. I talked a lot of shit. I went there for a shoe program because I got caught with a knife in Chuckawalla. If anybody knows, Chuckawalla is a level 2, which is a minimum security. So while I was at Chuckawalla, I got caught with a knife. And my understanding is it's better to be caught with it than without it. If I get caught by the police, then I get charged and I get, extra time. But if I get a little extra time. But if I get caught by the whites and I don't have it, then I could lose my life. So which one is more important to you? A little extra time, or it wasn't even really a choice. I didn't have a problem with carrying a knife if that was what needed to be. But what I'm saying, I had an open invitation with anybody, any inmate that had a problem one on one, you can come and get it. I ain't turning down no fades. I'm not running from nobody. I ain't hiding from nobody. I got time to do, what I'm saying? So either you gonna do it or you gonna get out of my way. And I had white inmates that, what I'm saying, were from the other side, affiliated, and everything. And they straight told me, man, look, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I respect you for staying down for what you believe in and not folding up. Most motherfuckers would have just folded up. And what I'm saying, at the time, I had a chip on my shoulder. I had something to prove. I was there to make a point. I was trying to get your attention. And if there was, for me in prison, if there was any kind of because there would be rumors if somebody, if there was a hit or somebody was going to do something or something was going to happen on the yard. There were certain things, telltale signs to let you know something's going down. And that's, a lot of people didn't catch on to me because I always was a watcher of the people, a watcher of the yard. I was always on point because we had a lot going on. I'm talking about, there's drugs, there's, what I'm saying, contraband, whatever kind of contraband, because it can be pruno. It can be, what I'm saying, sugar stole out the kitchen to make pruno. It can be, I'm saying, metal for weapons. It could be, I'm saying, plastic for weapons. I was an innovator, and I'm saying, like, a lot of people, you take what you can get, and everybody talks about, I'm saying, in prison having knives, and I'm saying, having a piece of steel, and I'll take a piece of, I'm saying, fiberglass in a minute. And my favorite, was the plastic from the mop bucket. If you can get some of that, that's that's some good stuff. But that's the thing, I was, I had to make do. I had to be prepared. And I swear, one time I was in level 4, and I had got into it, and I had already, I'm saying, got into it with the whites, and then went to the hole, and then came back. And now I'm, I'm saying, back, but I'm on a different side of the yard, because this is when they first put the level 4 fences up and cut the yards in half. And so I knew, I'm saying, they're coming. This is they got plans. So, I'm saying, I have a knife in my waistband, in the front of my pants, under my belt, and the police come to my door to strip me out. And I'm sitting there talking to them, and they're telling me, man, look, we know it's not you, but I'm saying, we have to search you just because they sent us over here. And I'm like, I'm saying, in my mind, I'm thinking the police are trying to set me up because they know the whites are going to try and get me. This is already known. I'm saying, this is level 4, and it was known. So the police are searching, but they're being like apologetic, like, we know it's not you, but we got to do our job. I'm like, man, I'm not worrying about it. I don't panic. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. So I take the knife and I fold my pants in half, and then I kind of, I'm saying, I got the belt all bunched up, and I hand it to it like that, and he grabs it, and he's holding the belt, and he checks the bottom of the pants, and he's holding a knife in his hand, and he don't even realize that he's holding my shank in the belt with the pants, and just checking the pockets and then the cuffs, and gave them back to me. And I'm sitting there like, heart pounding, heart pounding, like, I'm saying, a herd of angry buffalo or something. And the cop hands them back to me. And I'm just like, I'm saying, trying to talk him into just getting away from my door so that I can get dressed. I'm like, all right, man, that's it. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, all right. So I turn around and get dressed and put my pants on, and I'm looking at the knife in the waistband as I pull my pants up and zip the pants up. The police never even knew he had the knife in his hand. That's the thing, if you believe what you're doing, and don't panic, you can bluff your way through a lot of stuff, because a lot of people, if they don't want to see it, they won't see it. And that's, but luckily, I'm saying, I was able to be prepared, and I'm saying, it was crazy. I survived. I got stabbed 13 times while I was incarcerated. Some minor, some not too minor, but I survived, and I figure, after all the stuff I've been through, I'm saying, growing up in the hood, the only white boy, gang banging, I'm saying, becoming a crack dealer, I'm saying, doing any kind of illegal business I could get into. And luckily, I'm saying, I didn't end up with a life sentence. I ended up doing over 20 years in the California prison system, but I didn't get a life sentence, and I'm still here. I'm still here. That's something. That's something because a lot of my friends aren't here anymore, and things aren't the way they used. I don't know. It's different. San Diego is different. I think San Diego is way too crowded. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It might be time to go because they damn sure running me up out of here with this damn rent. Nah, it's just they make it hard. Everything with the taxes on everything, and all the BS that they got going on. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on because they trying to make it hard. So we'll see, but time will always tell. I'm a survivor, so I'm gonna do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever is best for me and my family. If that means, I'm saying, relocating, then yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm trying to stay. I'm saying, I love San Diego. I'm born and raised here, so this is home. I'm used to the best weather in the United States. I don't know. I can't speak for nobody else, but I'm saying, I think we got the best weather. And I'm saying, show me someplace else that got better than this, and I'm saying, you good. But we don't have, hurricanes coming through, I'm saying, wiping everything out. So Florida, I'm saying, you're not in there. So, what? We have a little shaking. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Whole lot of shaking going on. And then, I'm saying, this is California. You can't beat this, the lower left coast, baby. Man, hey, I love San Diego. It's just, I don't know. What's the plan for me? Hmm. I'm gonna ask the man and ask him the guide. I'll push it out. I'm saying? All he got to do is, I'm saying, point me in the right direction and cut me loose. But nah, it's been a good night. It's been a good weekend. And you know what? Anybody got anything? Uh, we about to bring this one to an end. What we got? We got a couple minutes. I got 2 minutes. I'm a little parched. Smell my food. It's almost that time. So, anybody got anything going once? Anybody hit that thumbs up? Somebody? Anybody? Hit that heart? Hit that subscribe? Hit that share? Tell a friend and tell a friend. Going once. Whenever you go, I'll see you there. And I already know, you know what I'm saying? Man, you know what I'm saying? Send my love to moms and the fam, you know what I'm saying? Miss you, cuz. But when the time is right, you know what I'm saying, we gonna be there together. All right, everybody. I'll see y'all on my next one. See ya.